can see the way they hate. And I know better than to listen to the people who are calling us slaves. I can feel the sunlight shining.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name's Brian, and today is Friday, March 22nd, 2024, and this is episode 660 of the Lots Project podcast, and it's titled Tales from TikTok, and I'll be chatting about this week's TikTok finds, feeling bad for the new employee at the post office, weekend plans, and so much more. Let's check out who's in the live chat, hanging out with the coffee crew. Grab a cup, and we'll hang out for about an hour. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday. Let's see who's in the chat. Jen G, happy Friday, y'all. Early. Happy Friday, Jen. Pip says cheers to that and good morning. Hopefully you don't have any new residents in the shop this morning, Pip. Hopefully you got that all taken care of yesterday. Hunter and Mike's Homestead. Hunter hanging out over on Twitch, and Mike's Homestead, good morning. Good morning. How are we doing? Hopefully everyone is doing well so far. It is Friday. We do have I do have a list of I saw it on TikTok. I saw it on TikTok topics that will go down. A lot of it is tied into stuff we've already talked about, just explored a little bit, but man, they popped up and I saved them, and so we'll talk about them today. And I also have a little bit of a story from yesterday's trip to the post office, and yeah, it sucked. Well, it was okay for me, but I felt really bad. So talk about that today. And before we do that, let's see what's in the cup today. Another day of light Peruvian, finishing up that oddball half pound that came in my C4 membership order. And that's always the nice thing about Brian, always tossing in those little perks and extras, and always enjoy it. So here's to a good Friday and a great weekend. If you got to take off early, before I wish you well for the rest of the week, and enjoy your coffee this morning while we chat. Thanks for showing up. Man, it's good. It is good. So I wanted to start with the post office thing from yesterday. It wasn't anything. I mean, it wasn't anything huge by any means, but I sat there and I observed something, and then it ate at me a little bit, and it bothered me while it was going on. But I just kind of hung out. There was not much I could do, and but later, as I got home and then went through the rest of the evening and kind of hung out for the rest of the evening, it started to bother me a little bit more and more and more. And I was like, well, I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. I'm going to put it on my show notes, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned it because it was kind of a crappy situation for sure. As you know, get my mail at the post office. Show up pretty regularly. Good morning, Backwoods Butcher. Of course, you show up for the TikTok Friday show. Excuse me. Man. I did see a TikTok about them seeding respiratory illness in the spring, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's just pollen, but whatever. Anyway, I get my mail at the post office, general delivery. I stop in there daily to see what showed up, especially since I started getting products in the mail from companies on Amazon. And so I got to know the post office employees pretty well. For the large majority of the time we've been here in this location, it was one employee, and we got along great. She was super nice. Just interacted with her very well, and always willing to go the extra mile. Talked about the fact that she moved to a different post office location. I need to do better. Kyle says he needs to do better about getting back into the lives. He's been slacking as a friend. Dude, it doesn't have anything to do with being a friend, being here. Really, dude. Really. But thanks. Appreciate it. Anyway, she told me she was going to be moving to a couple different places. She does like mornings at one local post office and afternoons at another. They all have these really short hours here because they're pretty rural, but closer to her home. And I was happy for her. You get to work closer to home. She was excited to go make this change. Good for her. Good for her. Not all about myself, guys. Not completely about myself. And so I got to know the two replacements. Had two people that were kind of splitting the days up during the week. I saw some random other guy and then some random other person filling in. I think people were on vacation. I saw my old friend one day. She was covering, which was cool. And it was going like that for a while. And I was like, is this like a permanent rotation that's going to be happening, or what's going on? None of my business, really. I never asked or anything, but I'm just thinking this as I show up every day. And there's one employee, but it's different every day. Excuse me. And so I think it was Monday. Should have been Monday or Tuesday when I showed up. There was one of the people that I was Backwoods Butcher says, and now let me talk about myself and how it affects me. No, not really. Not really. So Monday or Tuesday, there was one of the new replacements was there, and then a new lady, a new woman was there. And I was like, oh, I've never seen her before. But they had been having some IT issues. They had their floor replaced. Like, I know all about this building and all their issues. So they've had a lot of like outside maintenance and USPS maintenance and repair guys and stuff there and IT people. So I didn't know, maybe it was just somebody there fixing something. So I was chatting with them, and she's like, "Oh, this is going to be the new permanent postal employee here." Introduced myself. She's like, "Yeah, he's here pretty much every afternoon. He stops in and he knows if he's got stuff coming, or he just swings in, and this is where general delivery is." Like, showed her all the ins and outs of what I need from her, basically, because I don't really mail much unless we're selling products, and then that's pretty standard anyway. It's just an envelope with something in it. And so I meet her. Next day I come in, she's still training. She must have had a hell of a day, because I walked in and I'm 6'5" with a beard and now a missing tooth, and I wear the same hat every day. And she looked at me like she had never seen me before, ever. And I get that. It was a tough day, and first day, and learning a lot of stuff. And yeah, so whatever, big deal. But she's like, okay, yeah, I remember. So the following day I went in, and she wasn't there. So it's like, oh, maybe she's training somewhere else. So it must have been Monday was first day, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yesterday I show up, and there's rarely anyone else in the post office when I go. We're talking rural small town. And so I go in, and there's two cars in the parking lot when I pull in. I find out through this conversation yesterday that the new lady lives within walking distance, because like I would drive by, I could tell who was working by whose car was there. I'm sure you experience this at places that you go. What employees there by what cars outside. So there was no there were two good morning Pickle Pete, how we doing? Never late, just time shifting. Yeah, that was on Lost last night. But anyway, there were two cars in the parking lot. One was running, one had somebody in it, and I was like, well, where's the employees? Where's the employees' car? Well, it turns out that she's close enough that she can walk, so that makes sense. So now I know that if I drive by and there's no car there, that there's still somebody working, because I would be like, oh shit, the employee didn't show up, post office is closed. So I get there, and there's a truck there with somebody in the passenger seat. There's a car there with the door open and it's running, and I walk in. One person's getting their post office box, getting their stuff out of their post office box, and there's somebody else at the counter. Post office box person leaves. I stand off to the back and just kind of wait. I don't try to pressure anybody. I don't like bum rush up on people when I'm standing in line. I always give them room. Don't want to feel anybody being pressured. I heard the lady's voice that was the new employee, and I was like, oh, I'm going to stay out of sight so she doesn't think that there's a line building up, so she doesn't get like flustered if she's trying to figure something out. Like, I just try to be respectful of the new person. And so I stand back and I'm listening to what's going on, and I watch the person drive away. I watched the person drive away that was in the car that was running. And there's this dude leaning on the counter. And I hear her talking with him back and forth. And then I hear him just starting to like be a dick. Like, well, how long have you been training? And da 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 da, and on and on and on. I'm going to talk to the postmaster about this, and da da da, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Do I got to step in? So I'm sitting back there. I looked at all the business cards on the community board. I was looking at the FBI's most wanted. I was looking at the free library in there. I was looking at all the free brochures in there. And it was taking a significant amount of time. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And I hear her must have called her trainer some at a different post office. And she's like, she says, hey, there's this guy trying to get a money order. And I can't find the button for it on the computer. And I'm like, oh, geez. Oh, wow. That's not good. Somebody that needs to get a money order. And I'm listening to this guy's mentality, and I'm like, oh, shit. He's riding her hard because of this. So this goes on for a little while. Like someone says, let me guess he was one of those mugshots. No. But he's just carrying on and on and on and on and on. Backwoods Butcher says, and then you proceeded to power bomb him and say signed, sealed, delivered. No, I just stayed in the back. He turns around and looks at me and goes, sorry it's taking so damn long. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm not in a hurry. I'm good. I'm just hanging out. I'll be here when you're done. Don't worry. Okay. He goes, that's a new employee. They didn't even train her, and like going on and carrying on with me. And I don't want to talk to the guy because I could give two shits. I'm just waiting there for her to get done so he can get the fuck out of there so I can see if I have any mail. And so it goes on, and I hear her getting the instructions, and she's getting the instructions from somebody on the phone. And this dipshit at the counter is yelling over the counter, trying to tell her what to do on the computer. And I will guarantee you this guy has never seen a postal office computer in his life. I would be surprised if he could count on two hands more computers, or if he's turned on more than 12 computers, 10 computers, like in his life. Just assuming. I mean, I don't like to judge people by looking at them or talking to them or interacting with them. But I'm guessing this dude has rarely turned on a computer. But he's screaming at her over the telephone person. You should look for the button that says money order. No fucking shit, dick. Like, really? Really? Come on, man. So, yeah. Finally get it figured out. And this guy's just being a total dick. Backwoods says, out of my way, druggy. Get out of my way, druggy. I've got assorted internet gifts to play with. I don't think he was a drug addict. I think he was probably, I would guess he might have lived in he had been there a long time. Like he was an older gentleman, not elderly. I would have felt bad if it was elderly, but probably in his mid to late 50s, mid 60s, with a cane and beat up. And yeah, just looked like he had maybe had a rough life, maybe not in the most technologically advanced way. So anyway, He finally turns around to me right before he gets his thing and he goes, all I did was come in here to get an $8 money order and an envelope, and I've been here for 30 minutes. He says, obviously I'm not, obviously she doesn't know what she's doing. He says, I'm normally not in a hurry, but today I got to go get something to eat. I'm like, okay, so come and get your $8 fucking money order some other time and quit harassing the lady. My God. Go to the other post office that's literally 7 miles. Literally 7 miles down the same road. You don't even have to turn. Like, if you pull out of the parking lot of the one and take a left and drive 7 miles and take a left, you literally in the parking lot of another post office. Backwoods says, I used to crush people like you in Vietnam. Sir, I'm white. Exactly. Exactly. So finally she gets it figured out. She prints it out sideways, the wrong direction. Then she gets it right. She gets it all taken care of, and the guy leaves. Well, I thought he was going to leave. He proceeds to stand there and have like a 20-minute conversation with the lady about, oh, where are you from? Where'd you move from? I used to live in Florida, blah, blah, blah. Florida guy. Yup. Florida guy. He used to live in Florida, but he was from Kentucky. So he's a Florida guy via Kentucky. Now he lives in rural Tennessee. So, he he stands there and talks to her for another, it must have been 5. Like 15 was an exaggeration, but at least another 5. Talking about where she's from, and I'm thinking, this dude said he was in a hurry today. He was losing his mind because she was trying to figure out how to get his $8 money order, talking about how busy he is and how much he's got to go do shit. And then when he finally gets checked out, he proceeds to stand there for another 5 to 10 minutes and fucking bullshit with her. And I'm just like, come on. So Backwoods says he definitely knows what drugs smell like. So I was like, whatever. I wasn't in a hurry, and I just stood there and I'm observing this whole situation. And so he finally leaves, and I walk up to the counter, and she's like, give me a minute. I gotta get this all written down, what happened and what I need to learn and all this stuff. And I'm like, take your time. Take your time. Get your stuff figured out. It's good. We're good to go. She came up. I had a conversation with her about everything I could think of not concerning the post office, just to like, she was visibly frazzled. Like, I don't know if I can do this. She's like, I thought basically I was going to come in here and fill some post office boxes, maybe sell some stamps here and there. There's a lot going on. Jensen's, after being an ass, he decides to make small talk. Sir, pick one. You can't have it both ways. Yeah. Backwoods says she just lights a cigarette at the counter. Can't do that in here. I'm new. Didn't know. But yeah, Backwoods says, so have you heard about the eclipse giants? I'm doing show prep while I'm standing there. Well, I couldn't do show prep because there's no cell phone signal in the town. And they had another meeting on Tuesday night about putting a new cell tower in at the city planning commission or whatever. I don't know how that went down. I haven't dug into the Facebook group to see the minutes, whether they approved it or not yet. But, there's no cell phone signal in the town, but we're going to fight over who gets to put the cell tower on their property and who has to look at it and who's worried about radiation. Small town shit, man. Small town shit. Anyway, I felt bad for the post office lady. She's new. She's super nice. And hopefully I built a little bond with her there yesterday, because we bullshitted for, like 10 minutes just about like, hey, take it easy. Don't worry about it. Some people can just be assholes. Like, everybody that comes in here understands you're new. Well, and if they don't, they can come and talk to me. So, like, So yeah, I felt bad for her, and hopefully she doesn't get discouraged and quit because it sounds like she lives within eyesight of the place. And how horrible would that be? You get a new job at the post office, and like they run you out of there in like under a week, and then you live in a house where you'd have to look at the place you quit for the rest of the time you live there. So, but anyway, that was my trip to the post office yesterday, and I thought you guys would appreciate that. With that, let's get into it. Today, Friday has traditionally become, I saw it on TikTok Day. I didn't spend a whole ton of time on TikTok this week because I didn't go get groceries and do laundry. And that's usually my Friday show prep time is sitting on TikTok in the laundromat and sending Kyle videos, taking notes, saving things for later. And I didn't have she fulfilled a money order already. She like so yeah, so I didn't have a ton of time, but I did really dive in last night. I had some stuff already teed up earlier in the week that I saved, that I reviewed, and we got some stuff. There is a lot of focus. I was wondering what the rest of that was, Chris. Chris Dixon says she fulfilled a money order purchase. She's already in the top 10% of USPS employees. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. And Kyle's chasing vegans on TikTok now. Dude, I don't know. You're a little obsessed with vegans. I gotta say, I'm gonna put that out there that as an anarchist, I don't give a shit if somebody's vegan. You were like calling them out. You were calling them out and calling them onto the rug. And I don't know, man. I think if a vegan unprovoked comes and harasses you, that's a solid thing. That's a solid thing, but I don't know. Dixon says Kyle's going down the old man yells at clouds path. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, you're really pushing this thing, huh? Pickle P says, what the fuck do you need an $8 money order for that you couldn't write a check? It's the fact that you don't have a check to write, dude. I don't think this guy had a bank account. He was writing an $8 money order. What do you literally need to send $8 to somebody for? Maybe it was a water bill or something. I don't know. Pickle P says vegans are humans too, until they start being dicks. Yeah. So I don't need to stir the pot with somebody like that. Like, there's plenty of people I would love to just have a rip roaring conversation with, but I'm not gonna poke the bear. Pickle Pete says, so the town needs a bank more than a cell tower. Maybe. Anyway, let's get into it. Most of the conspiracy theories on TikTok right now, man, they're really I mean, and it makes sense. They're really pushing hard on the eclipse and different facets of that. So I got a lot of eclipse stuff. I got some McDonald's stuff, The Simpsons, and anybody heard? Let's go from the bottom up here because these ones at the bottom are pretty mundane. Pip says Kyle's waiting to find a vegan cyclist that does CrossFit. Video number one that I tagged, and maybe I should start loading these up so I can play them for you guys. But some of them are pretty long, so I don't know how that would work. First video that I flagged to check out later was one on they're exposing the secrets behind grounding and the benefits of living barefoot, and I was like, exposing? Like, is this a new thing? This dude was like going on and on about how it's a conspiracy that they put us into shoes to insulate us from the ground. And so we didn't heal, because that's why they call it a heel, is because when it touches the ground, it heals us. But yes, everything he said, and this was the thing, like everything he said was accurate as far as the what I've personally actually physically felt as benefits from living barefoot at different points and spending time barefoot and focusing on that and observing it. But this dude those those people are he thinks that they're like covering this stuff up. I'm like, dude, just take off your shoes. No one's keeping you for taking off your shoes. But yes, people, grounding is beneficial to you. His mom put the straws on the top shelf. Yeah, it was interesting. I was like watching it going, I was hoping to have some big breakthrough. I was hoping to have some big breakthrough with the grounding, the earthing tied to like giants or earthquakes or something. And basically, he just listed off the benefits, but he was convinced that there's an overall umbrella conspiracy to keep our feet in shoes, and that the government saying no shoes, no service. And I don't know if that was the government or private business doing that, but that in itself was proof that the government is trying to keep us to always have shoes on. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I didn't buy in on that one, but since I am a big proponent of barefoot and grounding and earthing, I thought I'd bring it here just so you think about it. Maybe think about doing it. Spend a little time in your bare feet out in the grass on the earth and see how it goes. Do me a favor, try something like this. I know it sounds absolutely horrific to someone that doesn't have the bottoms of their feet kind of conditioned. But if you have like a gravel driveway, you have like a gravel area, maybe lava rock, something like that, something that's kind of rigid but has different points. Just think like a gravel driveway. If you take your shoes off, and go stand on the gravel, I don't even need you to walk on it. I just want you to stand on it and shift your weight kind of back and forth on your feet, one side to the other. So it's not too painful, but you can feel the points poking into the bottom of your feet. And just kind of do that. Move around so that the points that you're standing on hit different points on the bottom of your feet, and just observe what happens to your body. I'll tell you one thing that happens to me for sure when I walk across gravel is I can feel tingling from my ears down into my shoulders, in my back muscles. And as I walk on that, I can feel that tension releasing. I can feel that tingling in there. It's weird because we got a mat or a sheet with one of the massage or acupuncture mats. I don't remember what we got it with, but it showed the reflexology of your feet. And it was for sure lined up with what I was feeling as I was hitting those points on the gravel on the different points of the bottom of my feet. I could physically feel it where the sign lined up. So it is a real deal. Gen G says pressure points. Yeah, pretty much. That's yes. And yeah. As far as this conversation needs to go. All right. So that was on the list here. Does anybody know of Andrew Dawson? My feet crack, no thanks. Try it, dude. Try it. If you have a bed of coals in your yard, like a TV show in the early 90s, go walk in it. There's something wrong with you, man. Were you even alive in the early 90s? Hunter said there was one that said to take foil tape and plug it into the ground on the plug. I don't have grounded plugs. I'm not a big fan of plugging my feet into the wall. I don't know. I just go outside and put my feet on the ground, and that works too. Does anybody know about Andrew Dawson? Have you heard of this guy? It's been a while. You've probably heard of him. He was a content creator. He ended up getting a really interesting video, and you may have seen it. It's pretty popular. But he was out on a hike. He was out on a hike, and it was out in the mountains somewhere in the west of the U.S. and or possibly Canada. He got a video of what appeared. Oh no, Pip, not Dawson's Creek. Not Dawson's Creek. Andrew Dawson got a video of what appeared to be a very large human type, possibly Sasquatch or giant, running across the snow or walking across the top of the ridge. Zoomed in as much as he could. Couldn't get a very super clear, but it appeared to have been one of the most clear depictions of a larger than life person or being out in the wild. Super excited about this. He jumped in his car. He started driving towards it to find this, to get more video of it, and gets stopped by a dark car with tinted windows on a public road. Roads closed, turn around. Roads closed, turn around. Backwoods Butcher said, "Did you send this one to me?" I don't think so. I've seen this over and over. I just saw somebody bring it back up. But so he gets stopped by a guy, said, "Nothing to see here. Turn around, public road, turn around, close, turn around, go." So dude went home. He was kind of like tripped out about it a little bit. He's like, "Holy shit, what did I see?" He looks at the video again. He posts the video online, and he's getting kind of sketched out. He looks out his window, and lo and behold, that car that stopped him and made him turn around is out in his parking lot of his apartment complex. And so he gets even more freaked out, and some things go down, and dude comes online all of a sudden and says, "The video was fake. I faked the video. It wasn't real. Sorry about getting everybody whipped up. It wasn't real, blah, blah, blah." Okay. Everybody's satisfied. Okay, it was fake. It was fake. The dude faked it. And then it was like 2 weeks, no one heard from him. Month or more, no one heard from him. And all of a sudden, he posts a cryptic message on TikTok of him talking about how scared he is, that he's not sure if anybody will ever hear from him again, but the videos he made were real, and that he's scared shitless. So was that from the car that was following him? Was that something else? Or was this just a ploy to get a lot of media views? Well, at first, my knee-jerk reaction was, yeah, this dude faked this so he could blow up on TikTok or wherever, make a bunch of money. But the weird part is he didn't post after that. Like any fame or recognition or followers or sponsors or anything that he would have got for doing this whole stunt, because it worked, like the videos have millions of views, he didn't capitalize on it because he's gone. He stopped posting, from what I understand. He may be back. This happened a while ago, but he may be back. But as far as I can tell, he's not producing any content. So there was no benefit from this whole fiasco. So makes you wonder. The more I see Sasquatch stuff, the more I see that type of video, the more I'm just curious if that is a transition being between the giants and today, just hanging out. Who knows? Like, how big is a Sasquatch really? Do we know? Was the Sasquatch bigger than Andre the Giant? Chris Dixon says maybe he's still trying to figure out the money orders at his new job. But like, actually, how big is a Sasquatch? Harry and the Hendersons. Did you guys watch that show? Oh wait, Kyle, I don't think you were alive yet. Harry and the Hendersons. That Sasquatch was not that big. Is he is he larger? Is he as big as a giant? Is it an in-between being? Like, what are we looking at here for Sasquatch? Kyle's wondering about the Clintons and an airport. No, I didn't see anything about the Clintons airport guy manager on life support. Huh. Harry and the Hendersons struck a chord. So yeah, that was Andrew Dawson. I don't know about him. Might be worth Google to see if he's back around or anything. I'm not coming to the solstice. I'm sorry, Brian. I'm not coming to Seattle right now. Anyway, let's move on. Have you guys seen the Challenger explosion conspiracy? This has been going on for a while too. I've seen this multiple times, and it gets a little bit more convincing every time I see it. If you don't know, Kyle, do you remember the Challenger explosion? God, I can't help myself. Kyle, do you remember the Challenger explosion? No. Yeah. Chris Dixon said this one is a deep rabbit hole. Kyle says he knows of it. Well, I watched it live on TV as a child, and it was you would think as a second grader watching 7 human beings blow up in the sky after you had spent months researching, talking about it, diving into it, because so this is the weird part about this whole thing. The big deal about the Challenger was they were putting a teacher in space. So they involved the whole country. Mike Soames says January 28th, 1986, 5th grade. Yeah. They involved the whole country by putting a teacher on the shuttle. They were going to go up and they were going to teach a live class from space. So like the whole country was engrossed in the space program, in the shuttle program. I remember when I was a kid, we did pennies for space, and I was actually selected from my second grade class to be the representative to present the pennies that we collected, the one bag, to I think it was second grade, guys. I don't remember very clear. It was either to the bank guy that we were going to put it in the bank and they were going to send it to NASA. Maybe there was a NASA representative. I remember there was a picture in the newspaper of me and the third grade representative, a little girl. We were holding penny bags and giving them to somebody. Anyway, Chris Dixon says Canada too. Canada was all in on the Challenger school stuff. So Pip says, you mean they use science thing for publicity? Yeah, so it was a big deal. I think every classroom in the country on that morning had a TV rolled in on the cart or maybe you were in the gym if your school was too poor to have TVs for every room. Everybody was watching this thing if you were in school. Even if you were out of school, I think the kids were talking about it so fucking much at home, even a lot of the parents were interested in it. So this was a big deal, and a lot of people watched. A lot, like 7 people die. Boom. And it was reminiscent of, I think the initial reaction in the rooms, if I can remember, like, it was 2nd grade, guys. It's not fresh on my memory, but it felt like very eerily similar to, not my reaction, because we were laughing. We thought it was a comedy skit on the radio, but very similar to the reaction that people got as they watched the September 11th stuff live. Like, holy shit, what am I watching? Is that first initial reaction. And then the spiral out reaction of like 9/11 was like, America, we gotta go kill brown people. Oh my God, we're under attack. That shit. The Challenger one, though, was like, oh my God, we just watched these people die and there was nothing. What the fuck had just happened? Chris Dixon says, so Jimmy, do you still want to be an astronaut? So anyway, there is a conspiracy out there, and it's been floating for a long time, that 6 of the 7 people didn't actually die. Now, I'm not sure why 6 of 7. I haven't had this explained in any of these. But they're living. They're eerily very, like, they found the people that they think are the same people, and they don't even claim to be different families. Like, the majority of these people that they're saying that are the crew, they're saying like it was his twin brother. And something like it was like 35% of them are living as their twin brother or sister, as their twin sibling, and the other ones are living with like the middle name of the person. So like the person that was on the crew was like Jane Sally Smith, and the new person that they found is living as Sally Smith. Same age, same look, the same. And I'm like, huh, this is interesting. Hunter says Hunter's recollection of the Challenger explosion is fantastic. He has spot recollection of, all I remember was I was sitting next to a girl named Heather who reminded me of a frog. What? So there's this really weird, they found all these people. And in the majority of these videos, and there's a ton of them out there, you can easily go to TikTok or Google or wherever and type in Challenger crew still alive, and you can read all of it for yourself. But it made me wonder. In 1980, what year was it? Mike's Homestead had it up here, 86. In 1986, were they not worried about the internet? Were they not worried about the fact that the whole world would be connected at the stroke of a key? Were they not worried about covering these people up because they were like, nobody's going to put that shit together. We're going to have these people go home. They're going to live lives as close enough to them, but, just continue their lives. They've become professors. And like, I think Gen G mentioned that some become a professor. Like researchers, they didn't like change fields or anything. Were they just not worried about anybody putting it together because it was 1986 and the internet wasn't around yet? I don't know. some of the research, I guess it would be called research. Some of the research that I've seen, some of the videos that I've seen, some of the explanations that I've seen, really, it's hard to say no. Backwoods Butcher said they still thought they got away with JFK. Um, Hunter says, did they say why they blew it up? No, I haven't seen that yet. I do recall the whole thing about the O-rings and the cold weather and that whole deal. And that never really sat well with me, even growing up. Even before I had my tinfoil radar on, I that never really sat well with me. And it wasn't, I don't know if it was necessarily that I didn't think that it happened, that I thought that they did it on purpose, that whatever. Maybe it was just that I was like, I can't believe somebody did that and killed people by trying to keep a timeline or ignoring someone saying that this is going to blow up, like all of that shit. So I don't know. It's just never sat well. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know why they blew it up. I should see if I can dig into that and find out why the conspiracy theorists think that they blew up the Challenger. That's a good one. I'll ponder that and kind of dive into that. Another one here that I found this week that that is kind of coming to a head here pretty soon because of some lawsuits was everybody's favorite fast food restaurant, McDonald's. And everybody's heard of the ice cream machine conspiracy theory, right? That the ice cream machines at McDonald's are down more than they're up. That they have a monopoly on this ice cream shit. So this isn't like this is obvious. It's documented. It's documented that the ice cream machines are down more than fun fact about TikTok information, they're all unstable. No shit, that's why it's fun. There is documented proof that the McDonald's ice cream machines are down more than they're up. Like it is a documented fact. Now Genji's got a question. I gotta star this. I gotta talk about McDonald's for a second. So how this all came about is, so way back when McDonald's started, Taylor Equipment Company started making their ice cream machines, and they signed an exclusive contract with them that any McDonald's franchise owner needs to purchase their ice cream equipment from Taylor. Now, Corey and I recently watched the story of McDonald's and how it all went in, and this doesn't surprise me with how incensed these guys were in making it exactly the same. And it's probably why they were so successful as a franchise, that everything was exactly the same, ran exactly the same equipment, same training, same manuals, same everything across the board. Well, this isn't really a problem until the company that is supplying the equipment decides that they will make faulty equipment. And because their contracts say that they can only use their equipment and they can only have their equipment serviced by them, they're going to make the majority of their money off service contracts. So it was a joke for a long time. It was, McDonald's ice cream machine down. And people started going, I wonder what's going on here. And so through internal court documents, through people suing and going down this road, it was discovered that Taylor Corporation, that made the ice cream machines, were actually putting bad code into the computer end of the ice cream machines, which were making them fault out. Which they would have to call the service guy. Service guy would come out. He would hit a button, clear it, because they knew exactly what was wrong because they made it that way. Here's your bill. Thanks a lot. Well, an enterprising young gentleman that possibly worked at McDonald's and was dealing with this and then was pretty good at computers came up with a program and a piece of equipment that you could plug into the Taylor. You could buy this, plug it in, and fix the code. Well, some people didn't like this, and now there was a whole long story about this, and I want to get to Jen's question before the end here, but there was a lot of espionage going on. Court documents show that when this company understood that they were in dangerous territory. The company Klein, I believe, is what it was. Klein was making a Klein. Is it Klein? I forgot to put that in my notes. It's not here. They were being very secretive about this. They were vetting everybody they were selling this to because they knew if the wrong person got this was bad for them. They had a 3 different attempts for people to buy their equipment that worked for Taylor or a subsidiary of Taylor or someone that owned Taylor. They were trying to purchase this system to get it. Klein canceled. God, I hope it was Klein. They canceled one order from an executive from Taylor. They canceled. They had some intel on another franchise owner that they knew was working closely with Taylor, and they canceled his order. And then they also found out that Taylor hired 2 private investigators to use fake emails, fake addresses, fake everything, fake names to try to buy one of these things to get their hands on it. And the company sniffed them out too and canceled their order. So they knew they were being targeted they were trying to get their hands on this thing that they had developed to fix the machine because they were making like a couple $1 million a year in service contracts. A couple million, like a lot more than a couple. Yeah. Enough money that it was worth all this. So that right there is corporate espionage off the top. And so they finally find a franchise owner that they thought they could trust, and they get this machine. They're getting data. They get their machine back after this trial run, and it find out that Taylor had infiltrated this. They couldn't prove it, but the thing was taken offline for like weeks at a time, put back online, taken offline, and it was very. Chris Dixon says, "Go to the store and remove it. Now you have the piece." Yeah, that's what they did, but they logged it. They had a logger in the machine that said when it was online, all the data logging, and their data logging SIM card was 90% full after like a month and a half, which usually it was good for the life of the thing. So they were running tests on it. They were experimenting on it. They were backwards engineering it. And lo and behold, shortly after that, they came out with their own product just like it that just wasn't as good. So all these court documents have come out that they were legitimately acting like mafia guys. The parent company of Taylor, the CEO, they have an email from him that was like, I wonder what sort of communications should go out from McDonald's or Taylor saying that we should not use this new product. And all these weird cryptic emails like, hey, I need you to take care of a thing, you know, kind of like that bullshit. So yeah, it's a nasty business, guys. It's definitely a nasty business. So this doesn't going to go into the conspiracy theory bucket. This is actually conspiracy. And that's not good. That's not good when they're spying and stealing shit, but it happens all the time. What is going on? Oh, look at these comments. I don't know. Jen had a question here I want to grab before we go on. She says, "How do we have clear wireless communications to the moon back in 1969 without any delay, but today wireless is more problematic?" It's 6:55, Jen. You got to ask that question at 6:01. That is something for everybody to ponder over the weekend. Traffic. Sure. Sounds good. Perfect answer, Chris. I appreciate it. What else is on the list here before we wrap up here? You guys want to hit solar pole shifts or a little of eclipse stuff real quick before we wrap up? Mike's Homestead's bidding a new McDonald's project in Greenville, Tennessee. Coincidence? Make sure you leave room for the Taylor ice cream machine. Hunter says he likes to see the bubbles outside the ISS. Yeah, I had a TikTok that I passed on that passed putting on the list because the lady had broke into the NASA pool and she was getting live footage from the space station in the pool. She broke into the NASA pool. I had to turn it. I didn't need to see any more of that. Real quick before we go, let's talk about how this shit's lining up with the eclipse. The eclipse. Everybody's talking about the eclipse, and we'll probably talk about the eclipse a little bit more next week. But the way the eclipse is lining up is really interesting. Very similar to the 1811 eclipse. And some weird shit happened after the 1811 solar eclipse in the United States. So solar eclipse in 1911, full solar eclipse like we're having now, it had a similar path across the country that this one is going to have. And so what happened in 1811? We had a partial lunar eclipse about 2 weeks before the total solar eclipse. This year, we will be having a partial lunar eclipse about 2 weeks before the full solar eclipse. Then, shortly after the 1811 solar eclipse, there was a shitload of earthquakes. Shitload. Big. Magnitude 8.0, higher, between 8 and 9. So what they were saying is the eclipse traveling along the fault lines, because it runs eerily close to the New Madrid fault line, right here close to Tennessee. So I'm glad we moved here. We're right on the outside ring of some pretty big damage areas from the New Madrid fault line. So there's weird correlations between 1811 solar eclipse and the one this year. Preceded a couple weeks by a partial lunar eclipse. Again, this is happening this year. And then this devil comet we've been talking a little bit about. All the weird shit happens during the devil comet. This thing has been said to only pass by Earth like every 3,000 years or something weird like that. But the weird, or excuse me, there was a comet. I got backwards. I missed some of my notes here. There was a comet that went by in 1811. And they said that it was this particular comet that circles every 3,000 years. So that wouldn't be 1811 plus 3,000 is not 2024. But the Devil comet that they do know is coming around this year will circles every 11 years. Is it 11 years? Excuse me. Nope, that's the polar the polar shifts. Whatever the time cycle is on the Devil comet, if you roll it back, it would have been visible in 1811 when this eclipse happened. Sorry, I don't have the math off the top of my head. So we got this Devil comet coming. There are confirmed natural events when this comet's close. It's lining up right after the total solar eclipse, preceded by the partial lunar eclipse, and the timeline fits for when the Devil comet comes. There's going to be some pretty rock and roll crazy shit going on. Now, this is all lining up, and this was one TikTok this guy was talking about. In a couple TikToks later, someone else was talking about something completely different. And this guy was talking about why all these people are building these doomsday bunkers. Like, all these rich people are building these doomsday bunkers. And he's talking about a document that was released by an Air Force captain in 2015 about solar pole shifts. 71.2 years. There you go, Mike. The solar pole shifts. So if can you do the math on 2024 minus 1811 divided by 71? So the solar pole shifts that happens every year on the cycle of the solar maximum, solar minimum, that's coming up. And what happens during this huge event is all these CMEs, coronal mass ejections, solar flares, basically, I believe, 2.9915. So it's pretty fucking close. Like, it's coming close. Good morning, John Palmer. Good day and good weekend. So the solar cycle is coming, the pole shift. What happens with these CMEs popping off is they have the potential of coming towards the Earth. What this Air Force captain in 2015 was saying is this is a big deal because our electromagnetic force field, kind of what insulates us from these CMEs, has depreciated by 40% on the Earth. And this is ramping up to be one of the highest intensity solar pole shifts that's going to happen. Well, this is all lining up to happen towards the end of 2024 into 2025. What happens when the CMEs hit? Lining up in history, if you look back at the different points in history, it's increasing as this magnetic force that's protecting us has depreciated. Weird, like meteorological events, also heavy storms, so heavy weather systems, more severe storms, electromagnetic interruptions to communications, earthquakes. Man, all the shit that sounds really familiar to what they're talking about coming with the eclipse. And this is all lining up all this year. So I don't know, starting about April 8th, things might get a little shaky around here. Never know, because I didn't go down all the religious aspects of the map. Have you guys seen any of the stuff about the map and the symbols that are lining up with the paths of the solar eclipses and the Torah? And yeah. Chris Dixon says, "Take that, Mexico. We're all coming to you now." Well, at least it's empty. There's room for us, Chris. So it's been it's been interesting. It was an interesting week, and I didn't have a bunch of time to be on TikTok. I was doing more creating than I was consuming, but I was able to fill this list up. I didn't even get to half the stuff here, so I guess I'm going to have to dig deeper into these things. Hunter says, yeah, Salem, Niveda, and the Rapture. Yeah, all of it. It's like, if you put them all together, if you take all, and this is maybe what I got to do, I got to get a big poster board behind me and like be the guy connecting all the things, because I got 3 different conspiracy theories, 3 different lines that are all coming together and converging into one. We got the devil comet, we got the solar pole shift, and we have the solar eclipse. They're all lining up, guys. Repent, the end is near. Oh God. Hunter says not saying yes or no, just a big yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm watching, man. Like, there is nothing that I am going to do about it. So I'm just observing. Oh, Brian's the new Charlie from 2012 without the ham radio. Guys, I've actually posted that meme in my group from 2012. Woody Harrelson up on the top in his camper, just conspiracy nut. And I feel oddly more and more like him every show I do. So I appreciate that, guys. I appreciate that. Other than that, it's Friday. I get wrapped up. Pickle Pete is waiting in the wings. He's dropping a new song today, it looks like. Then he's going to review Fish. The Fish song, Life Beyond a Dream. If you're into Fish, you found a companion in Scrambling for sure. If you're into Fish, check out his channel. Check out the show after. This has been another edition of Tales from TikTok. We'll rewind it and do it again on next Friday. Probably going to get into some different stuff other than the eclipse and things. Chris Dixon, have a great day. Take care. Other than that, guys, it's Friday. Hopefully you have a super productive weekend and enjoy the time away if you get to be away from work on the weekend. Other than that, I appreciate everybody listening. If you enjoyed the show, it's always free to hit that like, share, and subscribe. To return value for value, please consider joining the YouTube membership tiers or listening on any value for value platform like Podverse or Fountain.fm. Also, you can return value by heading on over to thelostsproject.com. Check out the shop, pick something up, a t-shirt, a mug, or something to plant in the ground, maybe some consulting work also. You can also find discount codes, partner companies, and affiliate links that also help reward me for the hard work that I do. Other than that, guys, have an awesome weekend. It's been a fun week of shows. I appreciate everybody hanging out as always, and we will catch up with you on Monday.